Hello everyone and Madayaw, it's me, teacher Maita. So this video is about production design. As an art student, especially when you reach grade 12, you have to know how to mount a production. It would be nice if it is something live or face-to-face, but given our climate right now, it is sometimes impossible. And because most of us are online, it is best to mount an online production. And this is a great way for you to learn because the future of events will be online or a mix of online and offline events. So I hope this video will help you learn. We're gonna take some steps, step by step course. I would like you to draw on our past lessons from Creative Industry 1, Creative Industry 2, Apprenticeship in Performing Arts, Media and Film, up to all the way here. So this is a culmination of everything that you have learned. So this is more aligned towards performing arts. But I keep telling you guys that performing arts will be a very big component in the art world, especially given now. And performing arts is not just dance, it's not just music, and it's not just theater. Yes, it may be a combination of all, but it is not just that. The act of performing arts is actually the act of storytelling. You are telling a story, you are mounting a fantasy for your audience. To be a performing art master will be someone who considers the audience, the impact that you have to your audience. So this production isn't just, oh, it's just another class project. Oh, it's just, something teacher might requires of the class. No, this is something that will really, really help you in your future. This one coming from somebody who studied arts. I come from an art school and we didn't have as much as what I'm teaching you right now. But these are the things that I really and greatly appreciated once I was out on my own. And even when I was working for other people, production was something heavily we relied on to tell our brand identity, to sell our artwork, to sell our dresses, to even push other services. Like I've employed production design into helping out my dad in his business, to help out my sisters in their businesses. I mean, what does writing have to do with performing arts? A lot, a lot. So we will mount a production, or you will mount your own production, because I'm trying to customize the lesson into something that you want. In this performing arts production, you'll be able to choose any kind of performing arts, creative art production that is online and experiential. We've talked about experiential art, and some things that are experiential is going to be online. Some people will find that it might be so hard to put up something experiential, especially given that we are online. There is the barrier of the screen. No, you're gonna break that barrier. And we'll take some steps. But for now, this video will be a step-by-step of your production design, from planning, execution, and what happens afterwards. All right. Let me present my screen. Your production and execution. So this is part of the class, Exhibitions and Productions in Performing Arts. This is your production. Here's a step-by-step guide. This project is graded as your pre-final, your final, and your PBA. The aim of the project is to create an experiential production in performing arts that synthesizes the past lesson, like the elements of art, principles of design and composition, and technical elements of theater and performing arts. The parameters of the project is, it is a 4D art. meaning you'll need to experience this or your audience need to experience this. It is time bound. Performance or execution must be between midterms and pre-finals. It is a performing arts project. You may group yourselves to three, only up to three, but you can do this on your own as well. You don't have to be the performer, but you need to do everything in the production, everything that is in technical elements of theater and performing arts. By now, we're already in the planning stage. I hope you are. Many of you will be starting to execute it, or at least getting all your materials ready. If you aren't, why aren't you? I have already announced this way ahead of time. If you still can't decide, then you better step up. I've already announced this project since 2020. You were still grade 11 back then. Your production is your product. It is imperative that as artists, you know how to mount a proper production, even if it is online. And you need to know this given your limited resources and limited time. Employ what you've learned, especially about entertainment science. So what type of production can you produce online? There are so many. It's not just this, but here are some examples. You can do an online concert. You can do game night or game contests, a talk show, a variety show, a fashion show, a murder mystery night, immersive theater, balagtasan competition, perfect, panel discussion, even talent contests. So these are just some of them. If you have other suggestions, why don't you consult me? Let's talk about it, and we might come to a conclusion, or we might do something totally different or combine something with it, as long as you break the barrier of the screen. I don't want to see a performance where there's the audience just watching and you or your performers just performing there. There's no interaction happening. What kind of interaction would that be? There could be any kind of interaction. My past students have done or have interjected games in between songs just to keep the audience going. Some of them could even do like an interjection of fundraising where it is a concert and people can send donations, and when they send donations, they can request a song. So a lot of things like that can be done. So consider your consumers. Why will they watch your production? To escape? To discover, to explore, or for education purposes? Social learning and identification, learning about yourself and your identity in this group, in this generation, in this space. Mood management or sensory arousal. Sometimes we feel so down, we just want something to relax, so we watch something to relax with. Sometimes we want something that excites us. Sometimes we want to be horrified, we watch something horrible or a horror movie. But those are all part of mood management, which you can employ in your production. Achievement or status, just because people have watched a particular thing, you want to be that person that they watch, it could be. Consumers want to be transported into a world or a journey, because the journey is the process. A lot of people love the process more than the end game. So that's what you have to do to your audience. You have to transport them somewhere else. Make them believe in what you are bringing to them. Whether it's just a concert, whether it's a talk show, transport them in that show. Now let's talk about production organization and responsibilities, yours. So performing arts is very collaborative, and every stakeholder must know their part. So a stakeholder is someone who has a part in your production. So if you ask, Teacher Maita, am I the only stakeholder? No, your parents are also stakeholders because they are stakeholders in your education. So other stakeholders will be your volunteers and your performers. Perhaps if you're doing this as a fundraiser, if you're raising money for a certain charity, your charity becomes a stakeholder. So what's your role and responsibility? You, the student who's mounting this online production, have to be the director. You have to be the producer, and you have to be the technical director. This is part of your learning. You need to learn all of these. So if you are in a group of two, you can divide this role. If you are three, better. One of you is the director, one of you is the producer, and the three of you will be splitting the roles of the technical director, because all the technical elements of theater must be there. So I hope you remember each of them, because that is all in the details. Set. Your set. What's happening in the background? Are you going to have a virtual background? So if you feel like the living room's not just quite there, or you don't have a space where you can film that looks very nice, a virtual background will do. That will take the place of your set. Lighting. Right now, I have 3 sources of light. Make that 4 sources of light. I have my window over here, which gives me natural light, but it's not enough. I have my light, my fluorescent light on the top, and I have a soft box, and I have a ring light. And it just gives me ample light. You might need those. If you are not the performer, if you have a cousin halfway across the country or somewhere in the world, or just not in the same place you are, and you know that your cousin can sing, or maybe your cousin is your guest for the show as a speaker or part of your panel, or if you're doing game night, they're part of the game. But in their house, it's very dark. Let's say they live in a basement apartment. So it's quite dark. There's not enough natural light. Their fluorescent light gives a very greenish tinge, which shows up very dark on Zoom or Google Meet or whatever you're using the platform. I suggest you lend them a desk lamp, or let them borrow your ring light, or buy them a ring light, but that's your responsibility. If you have to fundraise to send them a mini ring light, you know, one of these small little ring lights, this one, I bought this in Shopee. I bought it on sale at 69 pesos. I think you can get it cheaper. It's got 3 grades of light. You can also buy them a proper ring light. When it's on sale, you can get it as cheap as 150 pesos. You don't have to buy the very big one. A 10-inch ring light is enough. Sounds. So that's very important. Part of sounds is also background sounds. So I suggest you put comforter or towels around your door just so it's not noisy. You can't hear outside. I put a yoga mat in front of my window. It's also the reason why I don't have enough natural light in my room, but I sacrifice the natural light so that I don't hear the cars coming in. So those are some things that you can do to just make sure that you have your sounds perfect. You just hear yourself or your performers. You don't hear cars in the background, airplanes if you're near the airport, people walking around. So you'll just really have to make sure things are quiet and you have a mic or a headset that you're using. Next, props. You need some props, maybe, especially if you're doing game nights. That would be up to you. So if you're sending your volunteers or your performers some props, or maybe you can just ask them, hey guys, can you, anyone has this, anyone has that, this is part of our game, this is part of the props. That would be up to you. Costume. There was someone who set up a game night, and what's nice is he told all the performers, or should I say the contestants, to color code themselves. So when they're on screen, you will see that this team is all green, this team is all blue, and this team is all red. So then you will know who's who and who's playing for what team. So that's part of costume. Makeup and hair will also go into costume, although I will not require so much makeup and hair. But if it is something that is imperative or something that will really affect the performance of a person, why not? give them a hair and makeup makeover. Now, this is another thing that's very important because we are online. Technology. Technology selection is part of the learning process. Let's say you're using Zoom. We can use Zoom. We can use Google Meet if you really think Google Meet is the best for you and the best for your volunteers, by all means. You want to use Kumo Space, or you want to use Gather, you want to use Microsoft Teams, or you want to go directly to Facebook Live or YouTube Live. Those are all part of technology. So filters will be part of those, and other effects that you will be using. You are going to be doing some pre-recorded stuff like your opening sequence and things like those. Those are allowed to be pre-recorded. So those are also part of technology. Let's talk about your performer. As I've said, you don't have to be the performer, because what you are learning is for you to mount the production. So you do not have to be the performer in this. You will be directing your performer. And if you are a fellow performer, you're going to be directing your fellow performers. That is going to be quite tricky, because as a director, you might get more objective because you are watching your performers do it, as opposed to you are there acting alongside them or playing alongside them. That can get tricky. But if you can do that, sure, why not? Go ahead. Here's another thing that you have to know when mounting your production. Remember, we are in a Catholic school. If your performers misbehave, if they cussed live, if they made a scene live, that is on you. Ahead of time, you might have to tell them, guys, here's the guidelines. You can't say this on screen. You can't do that on screen. You can't drop F-bombs. If you stub your toe, do this to your mouth. Do not say anything bad online. That also includes bashing people online. Marketing and publicity. This is part of your production. Remember our lesson on branding and marketing. Branding is your identity, and your identity is your production. Marketing is getting the world to know about your identity. Guess what? You'll be doing this yourself. This is part of learning. Steps to consider in marketing and publicity. You need a pre-release buzz. So, which means you have to start posting way ahead of time. You need your social network sites. This means a page in Facebook. You don't need to make a new account. Just make a public page. You can put your production there, or you just use it to create a buzz. You can also make an Instagram page, Twitter, TikTok even. So this will be all up to you. But I think the most important one is a Facebook page, because it is something very public. Then you're going to have to build the brand, which means please do this like a month, at least a month ahead. You start doing your social network site, because when you build your brand, you need your audience to know about you already. Start tagging your friends. Start asking them to share your page. Start asking them to talk about your page. Next is brand alliance or networking. That is when you ask your friends. And brand alliance could also be when you talk to other social media influencers maybe, or big brands, or even small brands where you can form an alliance. Let's say you know someone who makes bags for school. They're a small company, but it's something in line with what you're going to be mounting in your production. Why don't you talk to them and tell them, hey, I noticed that in your Facebook page, you've got thousands of followers, and we're going to do this production. Maybe we can do something together. My production could be advertising your brand, and you can use those clips or footage to advertise or as part of your brand. So those are networking. You just have to ask. Sometimes cold calls or cold emails will actually get you somewhere. So cold email or a cold call is when you don't know that person and you just email them out of the blue. So consider that those things take time. Please do that way ahead of time. Documentation. A lot of you guys, or a lot of students, forget their project after it's done. Whose role is it to document, and why is there a need to document? Whose role is it to document? You, the student. It's your role to document it. Why is there a need to document? Documentation, more often than not, a production team is answerable to somebody higher. In your case, you're answerable to the school. PBA 5 is your documentation process. So please ask someone to document your backstage or behind the scenes. That would be very helpful so that the teacher could also see the process. Because remember, it is in the process of this that you learn, because this is time and resource management. And we are online. So I don't know. I don't know if your mom's the one doing all this. I don't know if your dad paid someone to do all this. I need to know that you've done all the technical elements of art and theater yourself, that you have considered the principles of design and composition in doing this. So I want to see that you have learned. This is the culmination of everything you've learned from grade 11 to grade 12. Now what? You've selected the type of production. Let's say you want to do a murder mystery whodunit night. What platform you're going to use? You want to use a combination of Zoom and Kumo Space. You've already asked your friends and family. They're going to be there, so you're going to give them roles. You've selected your brand, and you have your brand identity. You've made your logos, even made your ads for the production. Now what? So these are the next steps, just to make sure things happen smoothly and what to do. Try setting up a story conference, even via Zoom, so all your members know what's going to take place. So a story conference is when everybody gathers together and the director will start the conceptualization. If the director, you allow your other stakeholders to add into this conceptualization process, this is what's going to happen. So if they have ideas, please listen to them. You don't need to take in all their ideas, but listen, and you might just get a few ideas from that. Next, set up a dramaturgy. That's where everyone starts perfecting their roles. So let's say you've done this murder mystery night. You've already given everybody the roles. Everybody sits down there, and you can just pretend like, all right, you're Madame Trelawney. You are gonna play this person. You are gonna play Inspector Javert. You're gonna be Cosette. I'm just mashing out together different characters here. But anyways, you've given them their roles and asked them to do a sample, like if this was murder mystery night, just talk to them in their character and ask them to talk to you in their character. So you're setting things up already that they would know how to act. Because when I started to do murder mystery nights with my friends, the first few ones, we were quite shy. We didn't quite know what to expect. Some of us tried to do our roles, some of them didn't. But as we went along with it, and we found if ahead of the game night, we sat down, we ate, we pretended already our character were. When the game night comes, things get more smoothly because everybody already knows their character. Everybody already knows who they are and how they're supposed to act. So this will greatly help, especially for things that need roles. Murder mystery nights, whodunits, LARP, or live action role playing. This would be great. Next, do a rehearsal. Whether you're doing a game night, whether you're doing a concert, whether you're doing whatever you're doing, try having a rehearsal time and a technical dress rehearsal. Technical dress rehearsal is when you have dress rehearsal plus all the technical elements of theater. In other words, if you're sending lights to other people, if you're using lights yourself, the music, the platform itself, everything, you're going to try to recreate your production ahead of time just to make sure that during production time, everything goes smoothly. All right, so that's technical dress rehearsal. Don't forget, you have already selected your stage, your platform. So this will determine what kind of performance that you're gonna do. If necessary, or if you can, try going to multiple platforms. Let's say you're getting a Zoom, the professional Zoom account. I think you can stream to at least 3 platforms. So if you're doing that, or if you're using StreamYard, a professional account in StreamYard can also stream to 3 platforms. So you can stream via a YouTube channel, you can stream via Facebook, and you can stream via IGTV maybe, or as much, or maybe your personal account, so that your friends and relatives can see it as well. So production starts the moment everything and everyone is selected. The moment you've selected everyone and the moment you've selected everything, it's already starting, even if we're not yet on the production night. So when you're posting ads, that's part of the production. When you're arranging things in the background, that's production starts already. This is a sample working timetable. You don't need to do this, but this will greatly help you if you have it. I don't suggest you start a month before. When I mount a performance for a face-to-face one, I need a minimum of 4 months. And for something online, I need a minimum of 2 months. There is a lot of preparation that I do ahead of time. So the performance time, let's say if it's on January, I'm already advertising, I'm already talking to people as early as December or October even. So, all right, 4 weeks before performance night, make sure you send out your invitations, especially to the heads of the school, any special guests that you want to have during your performance night, send them the invitation already. Finalize your performers. By this time, everybody has to be final. Your performance and your volunteers have to commit to you. So if they cannot, because I know they're just volunteers, if they can't commit to you, find people who will commit to you. Then send out your collaterals, your advertising collaterals. If you've asked a media sponsor, let's say you've asked a magazine or an online news site, you better send them your press release already. So advertising collaterals will include press release. Then start posting on social media. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. If you can do a short rehearsal, even via Zoom, that would be great. Send out more advertising collaterals and post some more on social media. I do suggest you post twice a week, especially the month before. 1 week to performance night, do a dress rehearsal if you can. Dress rehearsal with your performers and volunteers as usual, advertising collaterals, and post on social media. 3 days before, do a technical dress rehearsal. You can do this a week before, you can do this 3 days before, but please do a technical dress rehearsal with the lights, with the sounds, even the tools that you're using. If you're recording things, if you're streaming things, start it. Just you need it, because sometimes, oh great, it's not working, or oh, you forgot to do this. So at least you know what to do, what to post, how to do it already. Then look for internet alternatives. Spotty or not spotty internet, sometimes we'll never know what's going to happen. So you need to know that you have alternatives to use. Do you have some of those pocket Wi-Fis? Do you have maybe a neighbor's house you can go to, your grandmother's house to go to, or tito's house to go to? Someone who has better internet than you in case your internet fails. So during performance day or performance night, don't forget, you're gonna advertise again, like maybe 3 times that day: the morning, an hour before, and just before. Do a pep talk with your volunteers and your performers. Don't forget to pray. Then when it's go time, don't forget, of course, what's this? Oh, wait, before that. Don't forget to do an internet spot check, maybe an hour or two before go time, because you'll never know what's going to happen. So it's just I mean, I've done that before. It's like panicking because an hour before a school production that we're doing, my internet's just not working. So I had to switch to data, and then data's not working. I had to call the hotel and ask, you have internet there? I'm going to run there if you have internet there. So things like those, you need to do check. Now, after the performance, do not forget the after the performance. Thank your sponsors. Thank your volunteers. Thank your performers formally. Write them an email, a formal email, please. If you're sending them a gift, like as a thank you, now's the perfect time to send them. And as this is also PDA 5, don't forget your documentation. So who's judging your performers or your production? Me. I will see the technical aspects of it. Your teachers, your other teachers will be invited, and they will give me inputs, what they like, what they didn't like, and generally what they'd give you. Is it a 5-star, a 4-star, a 3-star? Guest panelists. I'm going to be getting some guest panelists according to schedule, of course. So it might be different guest panelists, depends on what you have scheduled. So here are the excuses that I just won't accept. I don't have internet. My performers quit on me. I got busy with other subjects. Okay, first of all, I already told you what to do if your internet is spotty. Unless the whole province didn't have any internet, that's your only excuse. Next, your performers quit on you. I told you to look for volunteers that can commit to you. If they quit on you, what did you do? Maybe you were such a hard director, or perhaps you got not the right performer for the job. They cannot commit to your hours. They cannot commit to your rehearsal. They must commit at least one rehearsal and one technical dress rehearsal on you. And of course, your final night. Perhaps you could say your performers didn't have the equipment that they needed. As I told you, that's on you. If they don't have headsets, if they don't have lights, send it to them. You don't have enough funds to do this. Well, that's why we have the fundraising week. That week, I will be teaching you how to fundraise. Actually, I'll be doing that ahead of time, just so you guys can start doing this. If you want to do this as a class, we can do this as a class. But if you want to do this individually just for your production, you can do that as well. I'll be teaching you how to do fundraising. So you won't have any excuse. Your dog ate the script. That's not an excuse either. Things have to be saved. If your computer crashed, don't forget, you have cloud. There's Google Drive. Save a copy in the Google Drive, all right? Now, if you got busy with other subject, it means you don't know how to do time management. So that's already a fail, because time management is part of the lesson here. Next or last, you just can't decide what to do, so you decided to do nothing at all. I've seen this excuse. And then their parents are going to cry to me and say, my daughter's experiencing this and that. I know the lockdown's been very hard on everybody, but we're trying our best here. And the reason why I'm teaching you this is so that you can be resilient, because only the most resilient artists can actually make it in this COVID time. They keep telling us there'll be more variants, lockdowns will be in and out. We don't quite know what new normal is, but this is it. It's going to be mostly online, or there's going to be, oh, there's a new variant, lockdown again, alert level 1, 2, 3, and all those. That's going to be our reality for the next decade. So if you know how to do this, if you can just go out of your shell, out of your box, think creatively, mount a production that would take you and your audience away from all of this and transport them into something magical, into a magical performance that even just for an hour they'd forget all this alert level, new variants, and things like that. If you could just take them there, and that experience, that 1 hour of experience, they will take with them and remember that each time they're feeling down, hey, I remember this song that, in this concert, or I remember this game that we played in that time. So, you've transported them and made their day, made things more magical. Wouldn't that be something? And that is why games, Netflix, Disney Plus, and all those are making a killing out of this pandemic season, because they've taken their audience away from what they're feeling, and for one magical hour, or if it's a game, 10 hours or more a day, taken them somewhere else, taken them on a journey, taken them completely away from their problem, just even if it's just temporary. They've made it. Now you can do that too. So if you understood the lesson, you can move on. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.